Good evening, friends. I am K. Gupta, Director Research in India. I, on behalf of the Associations of Financial Advisor of India, extend our heartiest welcome to the members and all the participants. As information goes, we have more than 800 participants registered with us, beside having the YouTubes and Facebook. The subject is very relevant to these days. Subject is method of revive industry post epidemics. This is most important aspect in the SME sector, sir. So these associations was constituted under the Company Act 2013 on 13th September 2001. This financial advisory services, what association we are calling, the main object of this is to get together all the financial advisors to advise the banks, advise the other financial institutions, because the appraisal part of the credit monitoring, even for the assessment of the limits, was the most important aspect these days. To give the projections and to formulate the policies, to formulate the assessments is most important issue. Even after disbursement of the loans, monitoring plays very important role. Although our associations of the banker approved so many chartered accountant firms to have a monitoring. Beside monitoring, the NPA levels are increasing. We can say it is anticipated that the gross NPA might touch into 8.5%, which was anticipated by 13.5% last year. Now, most important aspect is stress assets. What are the stress assets? And what are the methods that stress in the banking sector can be minimized to have a more profitability? You must be aware that the bad bank came into existence when we are talking about the National Reconstruction Company as our revenue firm, where it is envisaged about 50,000 crore rupees will be transfer the assets, NP assets, to this assets reconstruction company. Although assets reconstruction already in existence, lekin this national assets reconstruction was formed with a sole aims to relieve the bankers so that they can give a more thrust on the credit expansions and monitoring and other aspects also. So today we are having a very eminent personality with us. You are talking about the executive director of the Bank of India, who is looking after the stress assets. We are having with us Mr. Mohammed, who is a DGM Canara Bank, who are looking after the SME sector. And to have a viewpoints from the entrepreneur side, we are having a with Mr. Shyamji with us and Mr. Varun Khanna with us, who is also a helm of fear of the industry, who is day to day discussing with the entrepreneur and also giving some solution to the industries. So we'll come to that aspects later on. So first aspect is what is the stress assets and what are the methods by which stress can be minimized. You know the banking industry undergone a very difficult stage. Even certain banks were under PCA, and now the position somewhat eased for that. That means if the health of the assets of the banking sector will be good, either you talk about the risk management, as the Reserve Bank has come out to have a risk management also, something like that. So when I've seen the monthly bulletin of the 16th February of Reserve Bank of India, they are telling the four point they are mentioning in that. They are also mentioning what is the state of economy at present stage. And they also are also asking what is the zombies and process of creative destructions. Third issue, most important aspect, what the Reserve Bank had taken up in the monthly bulletin by the bad banks as good mantra. That means bad bank, how it can be. you can say, National Asset Reconstruction Company, which came into existence and which envisaged by March 22, they will acquire the assets of 50,000 crore rupees from the banking sector, so that up to that extent, bank can be relieved and funds can be available with these big banks. Then they are also talking about this monthly bulletin by the impact of COVID on sentiments of Indian manufacturers. These are the four aspects are the most important aspect which the Reserve Bank in their monthly bulletin of 16 February 22 they have taken into aspects. I will not much time. I am coming to respected Sri MK, who is executive director of Bank of India. He is having a 56 years, was general manager, corporate development officer with Indian Bank. He is a master of science in agriculture, certified associate of Indian Institute of Banker, diploma in GUI, application development in management. During his professional journey of 32 years, he has extensive exposure of corporate office and field level banking. He was general manager of Dharampuri, Pune, Chennai, North Zone. He was a field general manager, Delhi, controlling 8 zones. He has successfully headed the recovery and legal department at head office. He was also on the board of Tamil Nadu Gramin Bank, which was formed as a merged entity of two RRB, namely Pandian's Gramin Bank and subsidiary of Indian Overseas Bank with of Indian banks. He has taken charge of the Executive Director Bank of India as on 10th March 21. I think he's the right person when we are talking about the surplus assets. Now, what is the surplus assets? That is the most important aspect which our participant must know. So, stress asset, what we are talking about when we are a account turned to be NPA, you have written off some accounts, or you have made some provision for that, or having a restructure accounts, we are also considered to be a stress assets. So sir, I'm requesting, sir, ED sir, what are the most effective methods for stress asset management? How you can manage the stress assets? Because banking, if you can manage the stress assets in the banking sector, I think profitability will not have any issue. Even capital adequacy ratio, something like that, can be also be formed very, you can say, very clearly. So my request to you, please give your so much experience in the banking sector and work in the different fields. So I think you are a right person to tell the audience. Sir, the audience is more than 800% joined with us beside the YouTube, beside the Facebook also. So my request to you, because people are listening to you, I think this is the first webinar of this series, because this is sixth webinar of the associations from the January. I think this is the highest number today. They want to listen to you. So I don't want to take much time stand between you and the speakers, with the participants, sir. So please give your thoughts, sir, on this subject, stress assets, sir. Hand over to Mr. MK. Thank you, sir. सर अनम्यूट कर लीजिए, अनम्यूट कीजिए सर, अनम्यूट कर लीजिए. हाँ जी सर, नाउ इट इज ओके सर.
Is it okay now?
It is okay sir, it is okay sir, okay sir.
Thank you, Mr. Gupta ji, and Shri Mohammed from Canara Bank, Varun and Shyam as entrepreneurs and as well as advisors, and also the associate of financial advisors, and so many participants. I'm really thrilled to the association for giving me an opportunity to pour in my thoughts on stressed asset. Friends, see, basically being head of this recovery cell from both in my parent bank as well as here also, I will initially put in the thought process as to first what should be as an entrepreneur. See, here I understand there are entrepreneurs also as well as financial advisors. Am I right, Mr. Gupta ji?
Sir, you're right. You're right, sir.
So there are two aspects to it. As entrepreneurs, probably if I tell my views, it will be more applicable to financial advisors because they can support and help the people who are really in need of sessions. What I find mostly in stressed asset is the promoters per se, they are more focused and worried about their activity, and they are not having much of concentration on the financial ratios. The first point where we are getting into problems is our promoters, directors, and who are in key positions should pay necessary attention. Either they should have some basic uh, acumen about those very, very fragile ratios. When I talk about ratios, I am not talking about the intricate, so many ratios which have nearly about 30 ratios which you analyze as the balance sheet purpose. But basically, current ratio, TYL and TNW, your interest coverage ratio, DSCR, your the Sundry-Creditors holding ratio, debtors holding ratio. These are very, very few ratios where it is going to affect the activity per se. Leave alone COVID. COVID, we will discuss it somewhat later. But prior to COVID also, I am seeing a lot of stress comes into portfolios because we are not concentrating on those ratios which are very, very essential. Friends, we all will know nowadays to run a company, you have to have your benchmarking. When benchmarking, I say, the entrepreneurs might be in Kishore, Shishu, Tarun, as well as in the mid-corporate, as well as in the corporate segment. So I'm generally, this address will be touching upon all these players. Maybe this is not much of effect to the Kishore, Tarun, Shishu of the MSME segment, but if we come to mid-corporate as well as the large corporate, these ratios and external ratings are an important tool for the banking industry. We should understand that the institutions are run by a governed set of principles where rating is essential. Friends, in the days to come, even now we can see that the corporates come and when they have high ratings, they ask interest rates, very, very frugal interest rates. We know that. So when we are constrained to address the needs of those corporates at a lower interest rate also because their ratings are high. Now, one thing we need to focus as entrepreneurs and financial advisors need to support these entrepreneurs is maintaining the ratings is very important, and these ratings can improve only either you have that sound knowledge of the bank, your banking phenomena, technology, and or you should have some financially sound persons as accountant, CFOs in the organization who cannot be given a task of some 2-3 other roles. They have to be when your turnover of a company exceeds say 5 crores and above, you need to have a specialized accountant. If it crosses about 25 crores and above, you need a CFO who continuously monitors your in the figures of your sales. If you are where the creditors are more, where the debtors amount has not come, how we can leverage, how do I cut down my cost? All these are the aspects which we need to see. So if that is taken care of in the first place, much of your problems is solved. Number two, in banking sector, what we do, friends, you should understand that now all banks are supposed to give the month end whatever the status of the account is. So briefly, while going to the status of the account, I will touch upon the movement of this NPS, movement in the asset status. The moment you have an assets finding problems, we have now early warning systems. Most of the banks, public sector banks, private sector banks, it has become very robust. In NBFCs, the things are much robust. In public sector banks, it has become, and we are taking some good steps have been put in place, and early warning signals are available to each banker. In our bank, I can tell you that we have nearly about 24 parameters where we analyze individual customers. So we know when the pain starting, there's these 24 parameters which we have as early warning signals. For example, early warning signals means the turnover is not in is in line with your sales. The debtors are much higher, whereas your creditors are much higher, not corresponding to both of them, do not tally. Your statutory expenses going overboard, and there are inbuilt mechanisms that the robust systems can throw in place even when tracking the third-party relationship and third-party transactions. To that level, we can capture. Now we are going and asking the entrepreneur, when you are onboarded into the system, please let us know as to what your third-party transactions will be and how much will be. Please make it very candid to submit a correct proportion. Suppose in case your raw material comes from your own group concern, you should be able to clearly state who are those sister concerns, how much of transfer can happen in a per day. And when you are supplying goods to your own sister concern or a group concern, which is down the back, forward and backward linkages, then you should be able to come out clean at that point in time when you're starting a journey of the finance. The problem, what happens is, we do not reveal all those things, and when the early warning system throws some light to the banker, the stress starts happening. And now we have inculcated a system in our bank that some of the ratios are even shared with the customers. By meaning customers, I'm having the numbers which you have given in the system. For example, XYZ company, the managing director's number is recorded. Now, what is happening? Major problems is with me. In my cases, I see the number given is somewhere down. Some accountant number is given. He does not know. He is only a small player in the organization. Whereas my CFO or the managing director should know all this data. You are giving those numbers, and that number is recorded, and the message is going to him. In some cases, if he is passing on those information, it's good. But I don't want them. You should know firsthand as to what your early warning systems are and why such benefits the public sector banks or the private sector banks or NBFCs are throwing at you. This is for you to look at and correct it at the initial stages itself, so that you can correct your course corrections can happen. Now, once there is a problem, your repayments are not in order, your stock statements are not furnished, your review is not in place, or your valuations are not done in time, the system makes the account automatically, as per Reserve Bank of India, that is a regulator, IRAC norms sets in. Income recognition and asset classification norm sets in, and you will get your assets classified as SMA 0. At that point in time itself, many banks are choosing to send SMS to the borrower. When the stress starts, your SMA 0 kicks in, and you are getting information that your one installment is due, your account is in SMA 0 because you are not reviewed your account, or your stock statement is not furnished, all those reasons which I said to you earlier. DCCO is not completed. There are about 7 or 8. These are my simple examples I am giving you. Once that is continued for 30 days, it goes into SMA 1. That is special mentioned account category 1. And there, again, you are giving 30 more days to rectify. At this point of SMA 0, 1, and the next 68th day, it is going to SMA 2, and 90th day that slips into substandard category. The stress starts from your early warning signals, travels through SMA 0, 1, and 2, and lands in SMA. So I would request all the people who are grossly in this conversation with us today in the webinar, please counsel your clients if you are directly advising the clients, or if the entrepreneurs are there, you should, if such alerts are coming to you, you should act upon the alerts. If the alerts are not coming, please speak to your banker and ask for these alerts. It is there in system-driven process, and every banker, as per the rules of the skin in the game, we have to put in place these systems, and I have to counsel the customers. We don't want any of our customers to get into this SMA 0 also. So once the travel happens like this and comes into SMA, it slips into SMA category. These other methodologies come in. Now I'll come to the portion where the COVID has impacted our lives. Truly, I think this is a pandemic which we, at our generations and the future generations, should not encounter. In 2020, when the thing started, really we had a lot of problems. I know many people lost their businesses, the shutdown, lockdowns, periodical. Even the first wave was not that much very severe, because thanks to the government initiatives during this Atmanirbhar Bharat year, we are in we should really thank the regulator, government, for putting in place so many mechanisms. Moratorium was given in the first place. Now, what I understood from my experience, many of our customers, they initially shied away not to take this moratorium. They said, why? No, I am comfortable. Initially, they didn't realize this gamut. So they said, no, I don't want this moratorium. So they failed to take. Then again, by August, September end, the moratorium after 2 extensions was extended up to September, and thereafter, the September 39, they said you have to opted and you can give effect up to 31 to 2020. So there, if you see, around many of them who opted for the moratorium, I understand from statistics given to me, correct me, Mr. Gupta, if I'm wrong,
Yes, sir.
6% of them have become NPA. That's a very small part. 6%, I think it's pardonable because there are some external factors also.
Right.
So 94% of them have availed this benefit and been successful. They were able to pass on this tenure very effectively.
Right.
Now, after that process, second wave hit us very, very deeply. And that is where huge, though the number of lockdowns were more in first phase, whereas in second phase, we all know people lost lives, the oxygen shortage was there. And in the months of initial period of somewhere in the month of 21 onwards, March and April, May, June was severely affected, and we had to go. Again, I should thank the government and the regulator coming in with RFCRS 1, RFCRS 2, and their sub-debt funds also. In RFCR 1 also, I found my constraint is, I'm facing even now the constraint. What is the constraint I'm facing is, friends, when the moratorium was given during RFCRS 1 year, our people have, it is not only I don't find fault with the entrepreneurs. I should admit there is a problem with my bankers as well. Our bankers also did not properly communicate to the customers. 1 year moratorium period was given, or even the temporary hibernation was given, but people were taking only 3 months, 2 months, 6 months. They didn't enjoy the full fruit. That means during the moratorium period, you are out to have not paid your dues. You could have taken and rejuvenated your activities were not functioning. You could have rejuvenated. You could have got the FITL kicked in. You could have taken some more time. And in all these places, the government also supported with ECGLS, Emergency Credit Line Scheme, which was wonderful. And that initially, if you could see, when 3 lakh crore was set up a target, we found it difficult to reach for our bank, like our Bank of India's size is about 10.5 lakh crores. But for our size of an advances of say 4.67 lakh crores, we found initial movements were very, very lethargic. And of late, at the end of the tenure, we came and took all these methods. Now, now the regulator said, if once you have taken a 6 months or a 3 month period, if you are coming back again, though you are eligible for 1 year, when you're coming back to us for taking it second time, the account has to be restructured. When I call it restructured, friends, restructure banne ke baad ye NPA, it has to be classified as NPA, and then it has to revised, rephased tenure. It has to run for 1 year, and only then I can upgrade that asset. Now, problem for me when it becomes NPA, and problem for you in case of your as an entrepreneur. As long as it is SMA 012, friends, your overdue portion for the above the cash credit limit which you have overdrawn attracts overdue penal interest. As and when it becomes SS, then your entire balance outstanding attracts penal interest. Already the person, the firm is in stress. They are not able to meet their real economic requirement of effectively running the unit. How can they pay the penal interest? So it becomes overburdened. You are not able to pay your statutory dues, electricity dues, and you are not able to pay your salaries. That's where the trouble starts. So my request is, whenever any such moratorium is there, I have been advising. I don't say the fault is entirely with you. The fault also lies with me. I have been counseling my people from the banker side. Please understand, suppose the company wants 3 months moratorium period, you please give them 6 months, please give them 1 year full. And thanks again to the government, I should acknowledge their effort. In RFCRS2, they have extended it to 24 months. Those people who didn't avail in RFCRS1 would have come to RFCRS2 and avail 24 months. But even then, I'm seeing they have not done. And having not done, and very confident that my repayment and installments will be paid on time. Now I am seeing MSME sector, especially MSME sector, I am seeing 24% NPA, and more so in Shishu Kashur and Tarun, it ranges up to 29%. Now, these could have been avoidable. We could have taken that moratorium period in full. We have been counseling, we are sending SMS, but the people who have taken a full time, they are now in the hibernation period. My only request to those people who have not taken this and they are in stress, please talk to your branch manager. If the branch manager is not conducive, please take it up with zonal managers of the respective banks. I am sure that at the zonal manager level, we are putting people who are very much intelligent enough to understand the problems of the entrepreneur and will come out with the proper solutions. Now, what is happening is the managers are not properly counseling, because when they say come for 3 months or 6 months, they are not providing the required time. But when the RFCRS 1 and 2 have been exhausted, now we cannot do anything about it. My only request who are not availed the stress is, please engage with your branch, tell them your clear cash method. We are now, the banking is moving towards cash budget. I know still branch managers are insisting on collaterals, but at the corporate office level, I can say one thing here in this public webinar: cash flow budget method has come to stay. This is how NBFCs operate. We are co-lending with NBFCs and giving more credit facilities. So I have already engaged with some 2 co-lending agencies for business. So their model we have studied. I think Canara Bank, our Mohammed can throw more light on that, how we have engaged with co-lending agencies. Their methodologies, their assessment is much simple. They go with cash budget method. But while I'm saying that, please be true to your conscience while you prepare the cash budget method, and give a clear mandate every month on month, how much will be your inflows, how much will be your outflows, so that the working capital deficit can be easily identified and can be chipped in. The problem is you are not coming clean. You are allowing it to some consultant to do it. Now friends are financial advisors also here. They don't want to throw a true dark picture, because when they throw a dark picture, the bankers get afraid, so they will not fund. Is that methodology somehow camouflaging is taking place, and we are not true. And when true picture is not depicted, the managers cannot assist. So when you are generating surplus, please ensure, friends, I can assure you, this is a phenomena we face in all the banking sector, especially in public sector banks. Liquidity is not a problem. Till I can say for my bank, 35,000 crore excess surplus liquidity is there in the system for me. I don't know where to give. I'm putting it in call money market. Yes, if I'm giving it to you even at a lower rate of interest of 7.58%, which is a minimum, I'm putting it half the cost at call money market. So please don't say that the environment of finance is that problems. The only problem is our people are not able to judge the cash flow methods of the client, and you please pay your dues on time. Genuine credit requirements will not be a constraint. I can assure you through this forum, as far as Bank of India is concerned, my 5,809 branches which we have presently will not come in the way on genuine financial requirements. The stress, I have said that how to identify at initial stages when the stress has happened, and those who have taken RFCRS 1, if they start generating their surpluses, my only humble request is, please make the surplus payments. If though the bank is not demanding, because it is under the hibernation period or moratorium period, when you create surplus, please pay whatever little bit you can save and space to the accounts even now, though the demand is not raised. Because when the moratorium period ends, the hit is going to be very severe. We are not giving any concessions. We are not we are postponing the inevitable. interest incomes need not be paid when you are under stress. That's all we are doing. This RFCRS 1 and 2 is that, simply that. Once the moratorium period ends, the government is afraid of that only. So when you generate, please pay whatever little you can pay, even in the moratorium period, number one. Number two, your genuine credit requirements, I am sure none of our bankers will refuse. And if you are having a recalcitrant branch manager, my humble request is please visit your zone managers, your credit in charge in the zones, as well as the superiors to them at the NPG level. We have reached some banks have regional officers or zonal officers as their immediate authorities for the zonal managers, and then ultimately we have corporate office like our friend Mr. Battal is sitting here controlling the entire gambit of MSME in our corporate office, Bank of India corporate office Mumbai. Like that, every bank has got the GM. So we are all facing the board. So we will definitely support. There is no question. I can assure you that there are pain points in the field. There are branch managers who are not cooperating with such entrepreneurs. Genuine credit needs also are coming but when it comes and discussed at zonal office level and the NPG levels, that is the CGM, GM levels at both field and corporate office, it is getting the required attention. The methods are getting solved. So basically, these opening remarks I addressed the way in which we have to move about genuine and we have, for example, one more thing which we have started from Bank of India is the Sanjeevani, which is a hospitals. Any clients of ours require in hospital facilities to set up that is going to be very per capita hospital capacity in our country is much lower than developed nations. So having said that, we have given that scheme also very low rate of interest for that scheme, and the ECGLS scheme also government is very much clear. They have supported us well. All cases wherever ECGLS has been given, I'm requesting those people who are under stress, please come and discuss. We are with you. The government is with us. Regulator with the team of the people who are doing this entrepreneur MSME of 6.3 crore units which are there in the country. We do not want any of them to go into oblivion or into pains. We are there to support them. With these opening remarks, over to you, Mr. Gupta. I think probably
thank you, sir. Thank you very much. I have no word to express our gratitude, sir. You have started from the special mention account. From special mention account, you are mentioning about the rating. Rating is also important. Then you are also asking for the cash flow assessment. Sir, in my all webinar, we are raising this issue because instead of following the Tandon Chore committee and method 1 or 2, the recommendation to assessment of the limits, we are talking about the cash busting. I think you touched that point very nicely, sir. So you also touched the SME account because how identification can be done. Because I know that when the bank has started, that I have joined the bank, there was health code system was there. Then their health code system that have replaced to a special mention account. I think now the bank has no choice except to identify the accounts as a special test asset accounts. Sir, only one point which I am asking you, sir, because Reserve Bank has proposed three options under a corrective action plan. There are also asking rectification, what you are talking about, how the account can be rectified. Second, here talking about the restructuring. You also mentioned how the account was restructured. Even restructured, sir, period has already been expired on 31st December. Because it says that for SMA account, other things are there. Sir, the account may slip to be NPA category. It is also said that about 17% of the stress assets will be there in the banking sector. Secondly, you are talking about the restructuring, which we have covered it. Then most important aspect, what the Reserve Bank under the plan, corrective action plan, they are mentioning about the recovery. So what is your opinion, sir, for a restructuring? Whether the period should not be extended? This is one issue. Another issue, what I am feeling, sir, is focus should be designed on a Bible plan rather than opt for a general restructuring terms such as repayment moratorium periods with hoping that economy will come back. I think these are the main object when RBI is coming out a deferment of the, you can say, moratorium period. It was hoping that the economy will come down, and we are not consider the viability of these units. You feel that restructuring should not base on the viability instead
No,
of giving.
absolutely. Gupta ji, I am fully with you. See, when we did a restructuring proposal,
Sir,
what did we do is we have sent a questionnaire to all the people who are eligible for this type of moratorium or RFCRS 1 restructuring. Rather, I'll use the word restructuring 1, restructuring 2 because RFCRS 1, maybe many of them won't understand those.
yes, sir, yes.
Or restructuring 1 and 2, in both the cases, we have sent out a one pager to the customer asking them what is your plan of action, and there are about 7 or 8 questions which is in local vernacular we have sent in English and Hindi. We have shared that with the customer accepted that I am going to do this activity, this is much time I will be having a pain, and during this pain period, if the ECGLS is required, ECGLS is not required, if it is required, how much is going to be required, how is it going to be paid back, how much time he requires to pay, everything on viability only. The restructuring 1 and 2 has been done. There is no second thoughts on that.
Sir.
But the problem comes when adherence. What we committed, sir, one thing is, I understand restructuring 1, in restructuring 2, initially the pain was very much deep because so many lives were lost and other things. But revival has started. Now I see even in all toll collections, in your GST collections, the way in which the traffic movement is there, in both air traffic and the logistic traffic movements, all this gets into a way where the situation is returning to normalcy. But the GDP and all will not go into the ballpark numbers of the overall scenario. But it is only this war scenario, which is a geopolitical scenario, which is just erupted today. Until that, and the fuel price, I think fuel price due to the various reasons, the increase is not felt, but soon we'll start feeling the price in the fuel increase. So once that comes in, the hit is going to be more. So my take is, those who have opted for restructuring 1 and 2, please make those timelines. A sanction ticket has been given to each borrower. What is your payments will accrue during the restructuring 1 and 2 periods.
Sir.
Interest rate is not going to be stopped. Interest rate will be ticking in the account.
Yes.
It is will not be, demand is not raised. That's all. So your pains are going to be very high, as Mr. Gupta ji says, when the moratorium period ends. So are we capable enough to generate that much income to pay that installment and interest? Is the question. When now our thinking process should be, are we capable? Are we landed up there? Number one. Number two, see, this is not an advice as a banker. I should not tell this, but anyhow, when the accounts is very severe, your burnt, your pain is severe, then it's no option left than to become an NPA account. But you can give a revival plan. Let it travel the revival moratorium. Your NPA of 1 year. Within the revival plan, if it can be made good in 1 year time, it can be again brought back to upgradation. This is another tool bankers are having. We'll classify the account as NPA, but you can bring it back when the revival plan is okay. For that, you should have a robust system. The activity should continue. Most of them, what they have done is, some of the cases, I'm not saying most of them, sorry for the words, but some of the people, what they have done is, they wanted to tide over a temporary period. Okay, fine. For me now, the banker disturbance want to be there for next 1 year, right? Let me go for this. Nobody will disturb me for 1 year. Then later we'll see. That is the wrong concept of thinking, because now we are counseling them. We are sending them messages. Sir, your account is restructured. Please ensure your dues will start kicking in this. So we are counseling him. We should, as entrepreneurs, make a ready action points. I think the environment and ecosystem is supportive. For example, Threads. You can, friends, I'll tell you a discounting platform which the RBI has put in place, where any of your bills which are raised towards the public sector units, government units, which are having more than 5 crore turnover, those bills can be traded in a platform called Threads. And there are bankers like us who come to the platform and purchase those discount factoring services, which we call in other terms technically. We will ensure those numbers, the ultimate customer is not affected, their payment will be given to them, and those units where we are having linkage with the ultimate suppliers into this platform, we will collect the payments which you are supposed to collect from the suppliers directly. We will make the payments to their concerned MSME or the micro mid corporate borrower or the corporate borrower, and collect it from the PSBs and supplier agencies at a later date through a mechanism. So those are put in place. I find initially 1,000, very few players were there. Now nearly about 1,500 suppliers and nearly 8,000, 9,000 people are enrolled. My request through the financial advisors are, make your people, even if they supply 3-4 bills also to a public sector unit, those should become members in the trade platform, so that these aspects can be easily brought in. So this is one, I think I answered your last third point, where the methodologies are there. Only thing, the support has to come in when the borrower has to come upfront, discuss their pain points, and not put it in the shelf, under the shelf, and tide over the situation and come at a later date when the much pain has caused.
Thank you very much, sir. Sir, one point I will say lastly, I want to touch one point, because your such experience, I want to take advantage of that. Even certain sectors, sir, you're talking about the infrastructure, you're talking about the power, iron, steel, textiles, and mining, which actually contribute about 51% of the stress assets. What are you feeling? Even Kamath committee, other committee has suggested some norms or restructuring the account. And what do you feel that they will be remain as a stress assets, or some light you can see in the future, sir?
Sir, there are, as you rightly pointed out, the stress. I don't say there's any stress, but you live around some litigant problems. I don't want him to get into this the Kamath committee where the OTR is kicked in above 1,500 crores. I'm not knowing whether my 800 or 9,000 people who are there will be in the corporate segment. But see, there are few, and I can tell you one thing. Yes, it goes both ways. There are few percentages which are slipping, but there are many percentages which have come out. I have myself, during the tenure of the 9-10 months in 11 months in Bank of India, I see about two accounts in 1,500 crores have slipped, whereas about 9 or 10 accounts have come out. They are paying their dues properly.
Okay.
See, in fact, Mr. Battal also in various forums, my GM, some of the segments like textile, like ginning, steel, we have brought them out from restrictions we had put in place. Now, in the last board, we have taken permission. See, revival is happening. We will come out of this. We have taken out those segments, especially under pharmaceutical, steel, and construction contractors. We have taken them out and said, field can have free hand in giving good proposals. Earlier, those proposals, even under stress, because it is under stress, it has to come to corporate office. We have removed them. So the scenario is improving. So we should be optimistic, and I think I'm seeing both scenarios. The picking up is more faster, the going down is less soon. That is my experience.
Thank you very much, sir. People are appreciating your viewpoint. People are all telling all the questions that you are excellent, sir. So I will come back to you. Now I'm coming to Mr. Varun Khanna. He is Managing Director of AUS Financial Services Limited. Mr. Varun Khanna is go-getter and a young person. Varun Khanna did his education in English honor from the Delhi University and has been actively managing his life and career toward the youth growth and development. That's why we called him. As a youth, What do you
Thank you,
feel,
sir.
sir, for stress assets? That's why we have invited you, especially you are the youngest person in this group. He started his career as with MNC as an executive in 2002 with Orex India Private Limited. Later, he joined IBM as a system manager. He has long experience. I will not go much because time is very constrained with me. Mr. Khanna, so what do you feel that? What is the most dependable assets to help the business revival after COVID situation? What are the assets which you can depend after the COVID? And what are you feeling, Mr. Khanna?
Yeah.
What
Good
about
evening,
Mr.
everyone. Good evening, everyone. Thank you, Gupta ji. According to me, Gupta ji, the dependable asset which will help every business survive. Obviously, the first and the foremost one is your manpower. Because during the COVID times, we have seen a lot of people who have been leaving for their hometowns, like laborers, which are very essential for the construction industry and manufacturing industry. So the manpower, the capability, and is the most important part which is required, which is the a main asset basically for any MSME or any sector you may take in. Secondly, I also agree with ED Saab, like Saab had told that reserves and surplus. I uh, I am of the view that a person who has taken a debt should be able to repay it and also side by side maintain reserves and surplus in his business. He should not basically he should actually look at the cash flows which he has, and annually or probably quarterly, half yearly, he should take some amount off so that he can repay the debt. He should initially see whether the cash flows are supportive in expansion of the business or not, right? Most of the people, what they're doing is, as soon as they have cash flows, they, instead of repaying the debt or hiring better capable manpower, what they usually do is they go in for expansion without thinking whether it will be successful or not. See, the problem what I foresee these days is that people, and this is a little off the topic, I would say, that people think that within a short span of time, they would like to grow and become a very big industry. But in the real world, I guess that doesn't happen. So as a consultant, I never recommend them to expand without being stable, without being having stable cash flows, without being having capable manpower. So that is what I suggest. And as ED Saab has also suggested, that one should have a proper team, like not only an accountant who can give you numbers, you should have a proper CFO, a proper financial consultant, either the financial consultant or CFO, either it may be bad news, good news, or whatever, should be straightly given to the managing director of the company, so that it makes it very easier for him to take decisions on that part. Unless or until the picture for future 6 months or probably 1 year is not clear to any entrepreneur, I don't think making decision is a good choice in that case. He should be well aware, foreseeing what whether he has enough to support for next 6 months, 1 year time frame for his existing running business. That is what I feel. Third thing is, what I recommend to my clients, and I personally do that, is increasing my IT infrastructure. There's a lot of dependency, Gupta Saab, these days, which I think through AI or infrastructure, IT infrastructure, I mean, you can decrease a lot of dependency. Like the banks have already, and I totally agree, because I usually see banks sending messages, your dues are this, and you should restructure whatever the problem they see in the account. I also suggest entrepreneurs that they should increase their IT infrastructure, like the sourcing. If I take a small example for the MSMEs, for a manufacturing unit, I would say, so they need to understand the sourcing part so that they can save on the sourcing, not only increase the prices but save on the sourcing which they do, and then probably increase their supply chain and manage their supply chain properly, so that they should cut cost on these. So these are very important things to a business.
Very nicely, Khanna sir, you have in business, I think, 7 years, and looking after all the project financing, even syndications, even NPA reductions. And what do you feel that as an entrepreneur is coming to you for the resolution plan or something? And what is your advice you are giving to these people, sir?
Gupta Saab, when they come to me for resolution and what I think of is basically I understand the model which they are working on, how supportive are their cash flows, their sales, and their procurement, the stock which probably they keep, and how long is the payment cycle. So all the ratios which ED Saab had talked about. So I basically take 5, 6 ratios which are very necessary. So I understand that, and then suggest them that instead of only some people, like a recent example, what happened, a client came, he said, boss, I need a moratorium only, I don't need a restructuring. But I went through his papers and I could see that a restructuring would help him, not only moratorium, because when once the moratorium ends, he will be in the same problem again, which will be a pain for bankers as well as for him also, which he doesn't understand as of now. So I recommended that you should take this moratorium. Besides that moratorium, you should also get your account restructured, because what had happened was his term loan was for 5 years, and 18 months, 12 months was his moratorium time, which got over. So his EMI had to start, right? So I recommended him to restructure, get it restructured, take a little more moratorium, extend that time to, instead of 3 years, to 5 years, or probably 7 years, so that the repayment of the loan could be done easily. There's no stress on him. He can concentrate more on work rather than on the finances and the EMIs which he has to pay. That is what I recommended him, and I usually recommend that to people, that you should not look at your company for a short term purpose. For probably 6 months, people say, okay, this will be good in 6 months or 8 months time. I tell them, this is not a short term business which you are doing. This is a long term, or probably a legacy you are building for your children. So you should take it as a long term investment and business what you're doing. So be very careful of the financing, your financing needs, or your commitment for repayment to the bankers, because banks are always there to support you. They are not there for your money always. They are there to support you, right? So if you present a very true picture to the bankers, there'll be discussions between the bankers and the consultants and the client. But ultimately, when we reach a point, that will be most beneficial thing for the customer then. And obviously, when three minds are working, and they will have a separate opinion. So when I always think that when three minds are working in a different way, and when they come to a consensus, so that is a very good way out.
Can I one point, is there one time settlement? I think when parties coming to the banker for one time settlement, it is, I think, as a banker, because I feeling it, the valuation of the properties has come down drastically. And second issue is what of the current assets, other thing is not available at all.
Mm.
As a financial consultant and you are advising the party for OTS, what are your views? Why it is happening like that?
Sir, Gupta sir, there are certain reasons regarding OTS. Every client has a different reason regarding the valuation of the
Yeah,
properties.
generally, I
Or
just want to have your
yeah,
perspective as a
yeah,
as a financial advisor for OTS. What are you feeling?
sure. So regarding the valuation and the daters and creators, I totally leave it up to the banks, because it is their prerogative and their decision how the stock statements were taken, or the valuation was done. However, when the clients come to us for OTS, we try and understand, because, as I just said, there are certain cases wherein there are frauds which have been done by the clients. which we really don't encourage. We tell boss this is really out of the way. If you are coming for OTS, the first question what I personally ask from them is that if you are coming for OTS, so why couldn't you pay the bank? Right? If you have money for OTS,
Yes,
you
yes.
should have paid the bank. Well, why do you want to do OTS? You pay the bank, pay them the interest, and get your account restructured again. Submit a revival plan, and probably the bank will give you another chance to do that. Because people come with different excuses. Okay, we are taking from the NBFC. I actually don't get it. But there are certain situations where there is business decision gone wrong, right?
Because that's I want to convey to the participant regarding this major aspect for this aspect, because this is stress assets. Once it is gone to a bad account, so bank has already made a provision, so they are coming to settle the accounts. So in that respect, the as a banker viewpoint of it, just I'm asking you, be as a consultant, financial consultant, what your feeling is. I think you explained very rightly. So Khanna sir, I will come back to you later on.
Thank you.
Now I'm
Thank
coming
you.
to Mr. Shyam Narayan Pandey. He is CEO, SNPG Global Square. More than 30 years experience in real estate professional turned investment trainers.
Appointment.
Flagship project is DB, Dream of Million, regular monthly income. As a real estate professional handle more than 1,000 crore worth of project at a time in abroad and India, with attracted 1.1 billion investment for the people, dream homes and business aspirations. I think he is the main investment bankers. That's I want to know from Mr. Pandey sir. So how you feel that the best investment opportunity available to our participants? Where the best, if idle funds are there, just like our EDs are telling, if surplus is there, how they can utilize first payment, making the payment, another how they can utilize it. And your Guru Mantra, what I am talking to you, is a earning. What you're talking, your expense is earning. I think I could not understand all those things. Please give your views, sir, Mr. Pandey, sir. Pandey, unmute कर लीजिए sir. Unmute, please unmute it. Unmute. हाँ, अच्छा, it is okay, sir. Pandey, sir.
I would like to appreciate the platform provided by Resurgent India
Sir.
for having such an intellectual leader, Mr. Karthikeyan and Mr. Varun to hear and grasp the wisdom of it which they have won in the industry. Basically, I'm touching the roots of the problem. Whether he's a consumer, whether it's as a individual consumer for the banks or financial institutions, or as a businessman, entrepreneurs, they are doing. The first question goes, how to prevent the financial crisis? So my experience of last 30 years says that it's a part of life. You cannot prevent the financial crisis. This is the 4th decade of the chart.
Oh.
In last 40 years, there are every decade you have got one financial crisis.
Oh, very nice, very nice.
And it takes 2 to 3 years to recover.
Oh.
Okay. So, and after every crisis, India get the opportunity to grow their economy and boost the economy of India.
That we are going to achieve 5 trillion economy that you're talking about.
Yeah. So when US economy goes down, that means oil also gets impacted, and the bond rate in US get impacted.
Sir.
That means Indian economy surge from there.
Sir, very nice, very nice. Good.
So it's a 3-year debacle. When we say something, we are providing solution for people, business owners, and all those people. Recovery from crisis is 3 years, and the next 7 years a beautiful period, golden period for business to grow for everyone. That we call it bull market of the industry. I'm saying.
It is cycle. It is cycle. Yeah, you're talking about.
So this chart it reflects.
Very nice.
Every decade we had this problem, and every time we are facing it. Every 10 years it's happening.
Every 10 years it happens.
You can call it different name. I have experienced 2 in my corporate career of 30 years. Which one we are talking today is COVID-19, Okay, and earlier was Lehman Brothers.
Wait a minute. 11 brother, why is the history?
Okay, so it happens periodical. Second thing, what our focus is that to help people to learn how to handle better. So, so if you have experienced one crisis 10 years before, so are we now in 20? We are saying, have we really learned something from the past and done differently? If not, then it's the point to restart again. That's where we are coming from. Now, my another concern will be at personal front. In 2009, we had the big exposure on the debts, and it was really nightmare to handle, honestly. But when we start seeing in 2009, 2020 what's coming up, that means crisis is going to hit us. So we immediately closed all the debts except one, which was under construction. Now, after seeing still continuity of the revival takes still another year, so we decided to basically offload that and take the investment back and close the account. You know, so that's the one thing. What we are focusing on, life goes something like this.
Up and down.
Up and down, up and down.
Right.
So we need to be prepared. This is like heartbeat, right? But this is economy also. They're like day and night.
This is ECG of the human being. Huh? Very nice.
Okay, I'm coming to the point where the problem starts.
Sir.
for everyone. This is the relationship between. I hope it is clear.
I think you just put upstairs. Yes.
Yeah, it is talking about time and money relationship.
Okay.
That means a life cycle of human, and money is such a subject which had never been taught in the schools, neither in the college, nor in the offices, corporate, and neither nobody talks about it. Right.
Right.
So the program which we are running for people, it's purely coming with the wisdom and hurdle which we have gone through in the last 30 years, and we experienced the hardest point of these economic crises which have come up. We have seen that. So from there we're starting how to handle your money when you have good time, right? To create a second source of income which should be inflation linked. That means you are doing a job, you are getting salary. After salary, what are you doing with that money? And you're doing business, you are making profit, you are take home. What are you doing with that money? That the question is, we are addressing from there. And when we start a business or when we are doing a job, we get this sheet called financial statement. It comes from as a gift to people, and here we talks about how to save taxes. ITR form talks only how to save taxes, whereas we are encouraging people to learn that how your money equity should work for you. Tax will be managed automatically, because once you start saving taxes, then your money stop working for you and growing. Because the tool which we have chosen is something like this. We invest into the gold. We started investing into real estate, right? And if you see in the last 40 years, I have taken the data, all the investment grows. But what the challenge people have, they don't have the cash flow. When you are in crisis and you want to generate the revenue from asset which you have built up, and you are going to offload, you don't get the value. And property growth, if you see in last 20 years, it grows about 4 times. Okay, if you bought a property in 2018, 2002, and today we are talking 22, you bought at 18 lakhs, you paid actually 25 lakhs by paying all the expenses, and today you can sell at 1 crore, right? So if you see the average outcome of it, it is hardly beating the inflation. So it doesn't support you. So that's where our education program begins from there. How people can be, first of all, people need to get exposure on the finance, banking and money at the college level and then professional level. Thereon, what are the tools we have which by where they can their investment can grow, their money can grow, to create a second line backup for them as a second source of income to meet the hurdle when they face in the crisis. That's the line we are picking up. Outcome of learning we are sharing to students, to the salaried professional and business owners, that we run 6-point program to how to use hard-earned money to create second source of inflation-linked income. That's the whole point is. Because once you do the investment in these tools, which we're talking gold, we are talking property, and all those zones, we end up like this. Our statement end up like this. That means all the income which comes, it goes into debts and goes out. So you are not able to create the parallel surplus cash flow utilization from your hard-earned money, and that's where we are training to it. So we are running 6-point program now, by which it happens. First step 1, do the protection of life and protection of health. Protection of health eats all the savings, all the investment when it comes to family health challenges to anyone in the family members. Okay, if you have these 2 criteria, then you are setting the platform right for yourself and for your business as well. Second point, we focus on learn to become qualified investor and create second source of regular monthly income. There are few parameters in that. You can convert monthly expense into monthly income. You can have dividend income coming through from quality holdings of stocks. There are some sectors have already started implementing these process in the digital world today, where FMCG sector have already started this. Insurance sector have started this, already providing this opportunity for people. While spending, you can make money. And it is good to see that something new are going to come up. Third is they build a long-term assets, which you can do by investing into the land bank. Land appreciates at larger percentage than in 20 years than flats and shops, which we do. Power of partner, choose the stock, power of partnership, compounding exponential. This is a bit subject which has taken separately for sure. But what I'm going to touch is that if you see the tracker of stock market, only few companies, they take the 80% of the profit which generates in the financial market, and very few of them who are friendly with investors. So you'll be amazed to see there are different parameters: clean accounting, vision of promoters. Is it friendly with investors, and what is the plan of free cash flow? How they are utilizing it, and how they are pumping back the money back to the industry for expansion plans. So these are the criteria which comes into that. And that's where we are helping to people to find a solution to root cause of the problem which we face in the crisis as a professional and as a business owner. Because when you're a business owner, you have cash flow, you have certain responsibilities to cater. But when you're earning the money, what do you do with that money? And that should be growing so that it can help you in the tough time.
Shyam, just I want to know with the financial crisis, how it can be overcome with your views. This is a major issue here. If once a company is in financial crisis, how with your what are your views? How it can come out from the financial crisis? Have any views for that?
Yeah, actually, when we were handling corporate, when we are handling corporate for real estate, so they're the first, like I was talking about at personal friend, what people does.
So,
But when we're handling corporate crisis, we are seeing, we started collaborating our stakeholders,
this is
which is
important.
internal, external, both.
Yes, this is most important issue.
Internal, yeah,
Like
internal means,
collaborating is the important issue. In one of the webinar, we also talking about the collaborator, because once the banker is not coming into their help, then they can find out the investor or a collaborator. What you're talking about. I think this is a good suggestion from your side. Any other
yeah,
things? Any other thing you can suggest?
yeah. So we need to collaborate openly with the internal stakeholder, means employees
Sure.
as well,
Hmm.
and the board of directors. And then external stakeholders, we have suppliers, we have subcontractors,
Okay.
and we have bankers.
Right.
And then we say, this is our understanding of crisis where we are. Because since we have seen the crisis, it takes 2-3 years to recover.
Hmm.
So whenever we were approaching bank, we're not talking about 6 months or a year, because we know what I'm coming from. Sometimes bankers, they don't agree.
Right, sir.
आप 3 साल कह रहे हो, गवर्नमेंट तो खाली 6 महीने के लिए कह रही है.
Agreed.
Okay, but I said my experience was that it takes 3 years to recover, and then the boom period starts. So
Okay.
let's work
Recession,
together.
what you're talking about as a financial expert in that respect, you're feeling that the recession period is 3 years, it is cyclical. You can say within 1 decade, 3 years will be a recession period. What you're talking about, like that only?
Yes. Uh, Data says this.
Data says like that.
Data says it's not Shyam is saying
What
that.
your studies say like that.
Yeah,
As
study
you
says
talk
that.
about every 10 years, there is some recession will be there.
Yes.
Or you
So
can say financial crisis will be there. Your
because
slide.
if people are being
And
guided
your,
properly,
sir, your suggestion is only collaborations or something different? You can suggest something differently? How it can be overcome, sir, this financial crisis, sir? Because you're expert in that respect.
no. I'm not the. I
I know
don't.
about you, sir. I know.
Nobody is expert in the
That's
industry.
why
You
I
keep
called you.
evolving. You see.
I know you're not coming out very clearly. Let the participants should be benefited with your so much you can say financial expertise in the field. So I should also be benefited. Once I talk to you,
and
I'm also benefited regarding a stock market. You are a very grip over the stock market.
and
How you are talking.
alone Sham cannot do anything. It's like only candle today,
Yes,
because we
yes.
already
Yes,
started
sir.
the
One candle is
program in the college
sufficient.
level now
Sir,
for the
one candle
students.
is sufficient to have a light, ना? ये किधर अंधेरे में दिया तो जलाइए कहते हैं ना
So
अंधेरे में एक
now
दिया
with
तो जलाइए आप तो दिया जलाइए आप थोड़ा सा हमें भी थोड़ा सा लगे साहब भी खुश हो रहे हैं हमारे ईडी साहब भी हैप्पी है आपकी बात सुनकर कि दिया तो कोई जलाने वाला है ना
So, Mr. Shyam, now I think you have a larger role to play. So it will be helping the bankers, in fact.
Yes, sir.
absolutely.
Most of the time, what happens is in terms of Gupta ji was asking about OTS. See, of course, there is I think Mohammed is there to more give his thoughts about bankers' perspective. But my take will be, see, very rightly pointed out when the case comes, it is very painful to realize. One thing people, our entrepreneurs and the NPA person should realize is, the moment it becomes NPA and you're going for OTS, your track record is gone. We don't encourage anybody to come to OTS. But having gone into OTS, I find most of the bankers have a paying that valuation, very rightly pointed out by Mr. Gupta ji. Whenever a loan is given at that point in time, the collaterals are hugely valued. When we go for a surface DRT, the abysmally poor valuation. I think none of us than the bankers know how many times we are putting in a property for auction. 7 times, 8 times, 10 times. And price discovery is happening during auction. That is not the correct way to do, I think. We don't advocate any OTS.
So that's why I am educating these people. why this happened? That's why I want to crop the ideas. Lekin Khanna Sahab is a very diplomat person. He's not replied anything. I tried my best to find out some reason for that, because he's the alma affair of the sector when he coming with OTS also, something like that. He's doing very great OTS, sir. So,
See, ultimately OTS is important, sir. I don't discourage that.
Sir, it is important. Lekin valuation aspect is also important, sir.
Yes, now the entrepreneur should understand that they blame ultimately, they immediately quote high net worth NPA borrowers, Malia and Nirav Modi and all.
Yes,
See,
sir.
there are, in fact, I can tell you this forum, the around 18,000 crores of money in the Malia case we have recovered. It's not that they are going scot-free and not recovered. See, every effort. Now, we should not compare ourselves. Only thing what is happening is, we should not enter into that arena. Having entered into the arena, the sacrifice cannot be just like that frugal. We are all governed by NPS, OTS policies. Each bank is having board approved policy. We cannot do away without it. There is a structure. How much can we go for a sacrifice? So they immediately feel, see, you can do something when people are enjoying, when they have taken the money, not paid, you are not giving to the people who are affected. That should not be the attitude. My only point is that.
Thank you very much, sir. So I'm coming to Mr. Mohammed Tofis, Deputy General Manager, Canara Bank. Mr. Tofis, Mohammed sir, you are there? Mohammed, welcome. Welcome, sir. Mr. joined as a probation officer in 1997. Mr. Mohammed, just I am talking about you. So joined as a bank as a probation officer in 1997, promoted at DGM in March 20. Prior to his work in a metropolitan department, senior observer, 7 years, working in SME vertical for last 5 years. Joined SME Solo Bombay in July 20. Underwent career training in various institutions and banks. When I see him, his degree, if I read it it take about 10 minutes. So he is a qualified person. So it is very difficult to see such a person in the banking sector. So our ED sir was asking him, how you done it during working with the banking sector, how you done it. I will not take much time, Mr. Mohammed. Just because you want, first point ED sir raised regarding the co-lending. So how your bank is doing for co-lending and how the cash flow budgeting are, I think, based on the NBFC. Instead of going for any method 1 or 2, they are going for the cash budgeting. This is one issue. Another point which relevant to the topic is, what are the solutions that can be taken by the banking sector to support the real estate sector from the financial crisis? I think real estate sector has faced last 5 years, 4 years, because inventory has piled up. There are no buyer for that. I think this is a major aspects. And some unproject where we have invested, our home buyer had taken a loan from the banking sector. They have put the money in the project. For that project, there are so many big gains are there. Their project is not coming. And home buyer once paying the installments and he not getting you can say, their house. There the difficulty, financial crises are there. What are your views, sir, Mr. Mohammed, sir?
Sir, good evening, sir. Good evening, Karthikeyan sir. Good evening, Gupta ji and Shyam ji. Already, our Karthikeyan sir has covered all points of regarding the stress assets and regarding this co-lending. Actually, our bank is doing a model of 80-20. That is the policy as per RBI guidance only. 80-20, sir. 80% we finance and 20% the concerned NBFC finance. And as per our policy, we go for A-rated companies, sir. And AUM should.
Sir, Mohammed, sorry, I'm not disturbing you because we are not going for integrity of that. I'm talking about what type of difficulty you are envisaging, because in the case of technology aspects, to have an integrity with the borrower, because the NBFC the main aspects here. So NBFC had to handle the account. Only one account should be maintained.
Yes, only
2 or 3 accounts.
Full we maintain full account.
Sir, how technology aspects your bank is looking into?
Actually, the accounts are being maintained by the NBFC, sir. We maintain a pool account and we finance based on that mirror account only. So there is a common platform wherein we share wherein they share their KYC and we vet them.
How it is working, sir? That's what we want to
It,
know.
as far as so far we have entered with India Bulls, we have entered with Lemon Tree, and we are going for Ugro also, and Ambit also we have already started. So we are in process with so many NBFCs, but it is going well, sir. So far India Bulls is there. We have already 130 crores we have crossed. Our co-lending has crossed 130 crores. So we are doing well, sir, with the NBFC. There is no issue. That platform is, we are not tampering with that platform. We are only doing with the co-lending only, and they have to maintain the books of it.
Okay.
And
Okay.
recovery part also
Now, second point will be, what
Sir.
are the solutions? What are your solutions? You're suggesting for stress assets. What are the solutions for this builder? For the
Sir, already, in respect of this stress assets, technically, sir, any entrepreneur who has got any stress, you should approach bankers. Because see, as we are not well, we approach doctors. Same this case with the entrepreneurs, he should approach doctors. Doctor means banker. So banker will suggest. He has to come with his own ideas, and banker only will suggest the best idea. But as our ED sir says, he should come out with clarity, sir. See whether really the stress is on account of business failure, on account of technology change, on account of people's taste change. So many factors are there because he is working in an environment where everyday changes happen. So he should come with a clear information. What is the coming in his way of doing business? Whether it is actually sometimes the project gets delayed. For him, DCCO is the best way. He has to extend his DCCO for 2 years. For infrastructure, it is 2 years. For other than in the infrastructure, it is 1 year. So it is depending on the disease, we have to give remedy. For everything, everybody cannot be restructured. It depends on the problem of the entrepreneur, particular problem of the entrepreneur.
Okay.
So there are so many ways. See, like a takeout finance is there. If at all he wants, if we say yes, I cannot run this business, he can take another loan and pay this loan and continue his business. So and otherwise, as I said just now, a DCCO extension, or otherwise, if he says yes, my management is not doing well, he can bring another change of management. Or if he says this, my the payments are not coming for. He can go for restructuring. He can form this restructuring plan. He can submit to the consortium or MBF or individual bank. And therein, they depending on the viability of the project, they will go for restructuring. So there are so many ways. But for everybody, there cannot be a common remedy. There are different problems, different remedies.
Okay.
That is my purpose.
Okay. Any other thoughts, sir, for these stress assets?
So actually, I tell you, sir, as our ED sir says, there should be clear understanding between borrower and banker. Then only the stress assets can be tackled. Okay. If he hides and come to the banker, and banker will suggest something like if you don't acknowledge to doctor, if you don't concede, if you don't give everything to the doctor, what remedy he will give, what medicine he will give. Similarly, if you don't give everything, whatever problem you have to a banker, the banker cannot give a clear picture. Banker cannot give a clear remedy or medicine in local terms. So he should give us the clear problem, whether the problem is on account of reduction in sales or on account of his own drawback or diversion of fund. What is the problem? He should tell us. Because as our learned ED sir has told, there are so many problems. So restructuring is a general term.
Okay. Another aspect, Mr. Mohammed, these sub-classifications have been introduced by the RBI. We are talking about the special mention account.
Yes, sir.
And identify the things. I think it is working very nicely. Previously, it was bank discretion to show the account as a NPA or a stress assets. Now I think the transparency has come. Where you can say zero and whatever EDs are also telling.
0, 1, 2, sir. SMA 0, SMA 1.
What you're feeling that this SMA further we can do something, because I have also with NIBM sometime I studied this industrial sickness, why the industry becomes sick. In my observation, which I send a report to RBI also, where I feel that the branch manager is the right person. From the beginning, he can understand where the account is in stress. Either he will stop the submission of the stock statement, he will not give a stock statement. He will not operate the account in that respects, and stock will also not be there. So that type of stress is coming to. What are you feeling? How to identification of the sickness? Is this special mention account is the only way, or there is some other ways also to identify as stress facets?
No, sir. As our earlier you have also told us, there are almost 24 parameters the RBI has fixed for this identification of SMA 012. So those actually, by and large, all industries fall under those categories, sir. Majority is, as you said, the transactions operation in account. Before that, the book debt the period of book debt gets increased.
Okay.
Before that, the realizability of the data is not coming forth. So these are interlinked, sir. But as you said rightly, the main operation in the account is the mirror of the account, whether this account is working well or not. So, but through operation itself, we can find out. As you said, the branch manager, yes, sir. The branch manager is the correct person who can identify immediately. But for that, the branch manager has to go through each and every account. Before that, in fact, the borrower itself can come out and say, yes, my business is getting affected because of these things, and give me some remedy.
Another point is there is recovery rates of NPA has averages, you can say just 31% over the past 5 years, indicating that banks have struggling to recover the NPA under the current mechanisms. You feel that for any mechanism can be changed to have a recovery under the NPAs category?
No, sir. Actually, recovery rate cannot be taken as a base for the success of lending. Whether you mean to say that success of lending is based on the recovery rate, whether you mean to say that or anything other
No,
than
I'm
that.
not talking about lending is something different. Now the bad bank has come, asset reconstruction are there. That is different issue. I'm talking about the NPA recovery. So whether the averages can be increased, because there one formula is when we are going to IBC, you are
Yes,
going to a court and
sir.
getting a degree. They don't need immediately going for a spy act immediately. You can take the possession of the property, sell of
Yes,
the. There are so many laws has come out.
yes, sir. Yes, sir.
You can have a recovery. Any
Yes,
further suggestion from your side? Because you
yes,
are
sir.
a very intelligent person. That's why I'm asking this question from you.
No, no,
Because for me,
there is a general comment in public also that the strike rate or the recovery rate is less, or the, as you said, the cut, that haircut is on higher side like that. So that it is all depending on the individual bank, sir, whether to accept that haircut or not.
I'm just not. I'm talking about haircut or something like that. I want a general opinion about you
Yeah,
because
Mr.
you
Gupta,
are a
Mr. Gupta, I chip in because I have a lot of experience in this.
sir. Yeah.
When I would not accept the statement which you made. Actually, if you see from 2007, 15 onwards, when asset quality review took place,
Sir.
the overall gross NPA was around 24% for the banks.
Yes.
It has all now come down to 8%.
Sir.
So, because of the robust interest earning capacities of the bank, as well as the provision being built up. So, there is a large avenue for the bankers to come in, as you rightly said, for the OTS platform.
Yes, sir.
We have many banks have entered this OTS platform and going well. What is initially, because this OTS became aggressive, SurfaceE was not doing all that well. We thought initial periods when the IBC came into picture.
That I want, sir. That I want from him. I think I'm thankful to you, sir. You have come to his rescue. Thank you very much. That I want to explain the thing.
Seriously, the IBC was doing very well. But
Very well. I agree.
of late, we are seeing for the last 1.5 to 2 years, no timelines are adhered. All within 240, 270 days are all gone. It's taking more than a year, 2 years, and all. So it is going for a toss. Now, then that's where bankers are left with going for OTS. So, but only thing, now they have strengthened the presiding officers in the NCLAT and NCLT.
Sir.
Now, last week they have posted all about 19 to 20 DRT chief presiding officers.
Sir.
And the methodology of recruiting people for DRTs and things, there should be a different way of thinking. Now, romping in personnel from the banks to those places, already banks are list up. You are asking people from the banks to go there. many banks are reluctant to send their people. So there should be definitely an avenue to see that proper mechanism. People like you should take it up with the various other agencies where you are talking to NIBM or regulator. That the DRTs, NCLAT, NCLTs, the people who are capable enough, retired personnel, there so many of them are there, who I see people, bankers from DGM level as well as Mr. Shyam and Varun will agree upon there. The experienced persons who are in the private sector domain also having a good caliber, they have to be roamed into these systems. And now that virtual mode settlements are very much happening in the courts, this has to be propagated in large numbers. Huge number of cases are piled up. So what is forcing us to do is this OTS only. That is why.
I agree, sir. I agree with you. What you, I think, sir, you have a great experience. I must appreciate. And people under the system, you must be saying that every board have praise for you. For I think you have to come again to bless us.
Sure. Thank
Really,
you.
it was a very good gesture, sir. Like one point, sir, is there. Sir, what one Mr. Rajesh Bakshi was raising this issue. We, although the bank is taking under the Safai action against, like some restriction from the government, he can no possibility for revenue in any period. State bank, I think we cannot do anything. If some cinema house is there taken up by the mortgage by the property, and state imposed restriction, you cannot do anything. Definitely,
These are no, I don't call, sir. Having known that this risk is there, we have entered into the.
That's true. We enter into venture.
So we will have to face that. I'm not saying I will not face.
Yes. You have to face it. I agree with you. That's why you want to tell these things.
Sir,
Mohammed sir, any point from your side? Mohammed,
No, sir. You have well covered all aspects. Any questions? If the participants wants to ask, we can give the reply to
I
that.
think there is one question only. I think that ED sir has replied for that.
Yes.
So, lastly, you want to say something, Mr. Mohammed?
Yes, sir. Actually, the customer, the pet operator should do business as our earlier sir says, he do ethical business, and if at all any problem is there, we are there to take care, and government is there to support. Anyhow, GECL we have given 30% on cycle already given, and as our ED sir rightly says, these TEDS platforms are there. You can do directly discount of the bills, and another as co-lending is there. So many avenues are there for now finance. NBFCs have come for co-lending, and onward lending also we are financing. So banks are doing maximum to the economy, and it is now the turn of the industries to react and pay back the money. It is a public money. That is only a personal request.
Very nice, very nice.
Fine.
Mr. Varun Khanna, you want to say something, Khanna sir?
No, sir. I totally agree with what Mr. Mohammed has said and ED Saab has said. That OTS obviously is one thing which is regular and is here to stay for a longer period than IBC.
खन्ना जी, आपके बड़े प्रशंसक हैं लोग, आपके बारे में बहुत अच्छा बोल रहे हैं. People are telling like that. You are excellent in your sports. I think after ED sir, you are the person who is.
Thank you.
For that.
Thank you.
Shyam sir, you want to say something? Shyam ji, last word. Unmute कर लीजिए sir, unmute कीजिए.
Yeah, I want to appreciate what government has taken the steps to came as a rescue. Because in 2009, when we have seen the crisis, there were hardly any support available from the government local at that point of time. But it's really great to see that government have came with the modernization plan and then helping people to restructure themselves and providing packages for sectors to revive. And it's really wonderful. That's my say on this.
Thank you very much. Now I'm coming to ED sir. ED sir is available? ED sir?
Yeah, Mr. Gupta. Just
I think no sir word to express our gratitude, sir. Everybody in this webinar is appreciating. Even personal call I am getting it. So everybody is telling you are excellent. I also say you are excellent, sir. Whatever you have covered from how you started, really it is learning point for me also. I should not say. because I have conducted more than 100 webinar in a different subject. Even I was with the SOCHM or the CIA or all the chambers, I used to do it. Lekin how you started it, how you ended it, really it is a very, very nicely, sir. You are
So
turning.
day in and day out, that is what we are doing as a bank. So,
Why,
naturally it comes to
sir, when
us.
you are talking about, I think this is a major aspect, sir. You started with the SMA, special mention account. Then you come to a rating. Then you're talking about the monthly statement, what you're talking about. Then everything you have mentioned, and early warning signal, how is it there, how it is going to rectify it. You're talking about OTS also. And you also come to rescue of Mr. Muhammad also. We how you can help is. I think
Absolutely, no issues on that. We are all bankers sail in the same boat. That's how now we don't know how many 12 will become now. So
sir, we are thankful to you, sir. Any last, sir, any suggestion to the our members, sir? Just any suggestion to
yes,
our people?
as see, sir, tough times do not last long, but tough people will last long.
Ah,
That's all.
yeah,
We
wow.
need people to be tough. I mean, in terms of both, they are physically, emotionally, and I can say bankers are there to support. And through
Financially
the
also.
dedication of our financial advisors like you, I don't think we'll have a difficult make the life of the
Sir, sir,
entrepreneur.
I'm just telling you, I am the helping hand only because I retired 14 years back from the banking sector. Still, I can play like a young people. In my company, people are telling that आप थकते नहीं हम तो लोग थक जाते हैं. So, point is a question of passion. Passion,
Correct.
you want to say something. Because I was with NIBM some time also, so I have some learning experience also how to plead ourselves. That is also important aspect, sir. Sir, I am no word to express, sir, my gratitude from the
Thank you, friend.
associations of the financial advisor from the Research in India sides. Sir, we will definitely give you trouble sometime more. And although I stressed this time by 40 minutes, like still I was feeling that I must go on talking to you, sir. Really very knowledgeable. I had never seen such a knowledgeable person like you, sir. I'm thankful to you.
Thank
I'm
you.
thankful to the Varun Khanna ji. Khanna sir, everybody appreciated you. I'm not knowing what type of magic you are having
Thank you, sir.
and
Thank
what
you.
you have told to the participants. I think we will call you sometime more to
Definitely, sir.
have
It
your
will be a
good
pleasure
feedback.
for me, sir.
I am thankful to you. And Shyam sir, you are excellent. And for investment, I think your jargon, I think you should have come out your PPT so that people can say your PPT instead of showing that in a card. You should tell us that we can go to have prepare a PPT and present to the proper way. I think that is the thing, and your thinking, your thoughts are well taken, sir. We are thankful to you for sparing your time, sir. I'm really thankful to you. And Mohammed sir, thank you, Mohammed sir. You have come, I think, 3 or 4 times in our webinar. So once people are saying your qualification, your talking style, and your everybody appreciating.
I used to tell one thing now. I told my GM,
Sir,
please contact Mr. Mohammed. We have to chip in with some co-lending activities with him.
Sure, sir. Sure, sir. Sure, sir. Anytime. We are ready to help you, sir. No issue, sir. Absolutely no issue.
sir,
Absolutely no issue.
he is very helpful person.
Yeah,
Even
I can
last
see that.
moment I talked to him. मैं कहा मोहम्मद यार please come. तो he कहा okay गुप्ता जी आप कहते हैं तो definitely आप आऊँगा. तो he always obliges us, sir. I'm
Friends,
thankful.
kindly excuse me. My another meeting is there for me at.
No, sir,
Thank you.
I'm thankful.
Thank you very much.
I'm just closing section with the thankful to you. Thank you
Thank
very
you.
much.
Thank you
Thank you,
very much.
Guptaji.
Sorry
Thank
that
you. Thank you once again.
I
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
I'm thankful to my team, resurgent team, who has made this program successful. Lastly, I am also held thankful to the participants who are always obliging us, who are always appreciating us. Their say word of praise definitely give me encouraging to the research in India that we should do such webinar much frequently. So we are actually, with your request, we are holding a mostly every week for this association program, and we will try to continue and come to expectation of the participants. I am thankful to you. And for Research in India, so you know that we are investment banker. We are also doing a investment banker, and we are giving a training to the bankers. We are conducting technical viability study, and we are in solvency, we are in valuation, merchant bankers, so many so forth. If any TP or other thing is required, we are there on your disposal. We can do anything for you. Thank you. With this word, I close this session. The thanks to all the eminent speakers, to the participant, to my team behind the scene. Thank you very much. I am closing this section. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Okay.